Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice, and today I am talking to the guys from Tabletop Discussion and Discourse. This trio of gentlemen touches on some different RPG topics in the community, and I'm really excited to talk to them and hear more about them. But before I get into that, I just want to quickly promote a couple things going on with the channel. We've got our patron chat tomorrow, which we do broadcast for the general public, but in order to be a part of it, you got to be a patron. Wednesday and Thursday, we do mini painting, which we are going to be painting Caladrax, the giant bone miniature. We've been doing that for going on 3 weeks now. And then Friday, we're talking to Dave from Nerdarchy. And Saturday, we have our Pathfinder one-shot that I'm really excited to play. It'll be my first time playing Pathfinder. So I know some of you who have watched my channel, you know I've been doing Pathfinder videos, but I have not played yet. So here you go. I will be playing this Saturday for the very first time, and I'm excited about that. So with that, guys, feel free to introduce yourselves, and let's have a good time for the next hour or so.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
He's excited to talk to us. It's great.
Who wouldn't be? You guys are.
That's a first.
Well,
I mean, no, it is literally the first.
No.
We should probably introduce ourselves. Alejo, you want to go first?
Sure. We can go down the line like we usually do. So,
yeah.
Hello, I'm Alejo, aka Great on 95, your first host of Tabletop Discussion and Discourse.
Ooh, number one.
Yeah, he's the dude that puts it all together. I'm the second host, Aiden, aka Sneaky Adolf. And then we also have our third and our popular boy.
Don't say that. Ree.
Why is he popular? What makes him so popular?
I used to do, several years ago, I used to be a Let's Player, and I wound up accumulating around 22,000 subscribers. And so I use that to kind of give us a tiny bit of a boost because
he's a big boy.
Yeah, I formally stopped doing Let's Playing, and like I posted a video. I didn't just disappear. I told people, I'm moving on with my life. And then I re-uploaded a video because surprisingly, tons and tons of people on that video were always wondering how it was doing and that they, miss me when they come back, even though unfortunately I just can't. So I posted a video that was basically just an update on my life, and that if people were still interested in following me, they could follow me this way. And so that's how we.
It sounds like we could talk about that for the full time if we really wanted to.
Oh well. Let me just. No. I was on YouTube. I was and still am Prince Boo 21.
Oh, Prince Boo 21.
Yes, and
now
so
you're just Boo.
Yeah, well, I just go by Boo because it's just my internet moniker among friends, just because, it's one syllable shorter.
Sure.
And if anybody is interested, you can look me up, Prince Boo 21 on YouTube, around, 2,300 different videos. But although that was when I was a lot younger, so quality and maturity, have changed since then. So
maturity, I don't know.
Ooh, I found it.
Yeah. Yes. And the icon on that
new
channel.
Subscriber.
I do. I still get them, not just with you. I don't really know how.
You talk about it on shows like this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So if you see on my channel that bomb Boo with the crown, that's my icon. That's what I would have had in this if I could get Zoom to actually update my profile picture. But oh well. So
Nice.
I am the third host, and I am the one who is currently running the campaign that we are all going through on Tabletop Discussion and Discourse. The campaign where we are all playing as devils set in Dis. So
Devils and Dice.
yes,
Nice.
that's the
formal
term for it.
title for it.
And the group is
that a homebrew world?
No, it is. It's the standard, like the 9 hells. Avernus, Dis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not good on my lore with all that. Like I'm running Descent to Avernus right now. I don't know squat about the other levels of hell, to be honest.
So Avernus is the first one. It's the highest one up, and Dis is the second one. And
Gotcha.
Dis is essentially regular Dis is different from mine. My Dis is basically like anime because the whole campaign idea was inspired by one of my favorite anime, Gintama. And so it's very colorful down there. It's not anywhere near as like dark and oppressive and dreary as regular
It's
discs.
cartoony.
Exactly. Yes.
We have helped to find a lost cat. We have we've we started off with running like an odd jobs firm basically. And are now sort of dimension hopping, searching for some beast that killed and ate Baphomet.
And my favorite quest that they haven't done yet, they've accepted it. I can't wait for them to do it. They were requested to go spy on a crime organization, and their disguise to like, avoid detection was afros. That's it.
Just afros.
Just afros.
Everything's the same, but
Conspicuous.
Yep, just
That's
afros.
right. That's right.
And so I can't wait.
It's
for
like when
them.
they wear like sunglasses, so you don't.
Yeah. The like Groucho Marx thing. Yeah.
Also, I should mention that Brogan is also in that campaign. No Net Ones.
Yes, No Net Ones.
He is a part of it.
See, he's a big
well.
reason I stumbled across you. He was like, you need to check these guys out. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, maybe they'll come on your show. And then I went, and I was like, what video looks good? Because I try to like watch at least something, right?
Sure.
And then I was like, rules light versus rules heavy. This sounds like it might be controversial.
Ooh.
And I clicked it, and one of my patrons, you're talking about his video with RollStats. I was like, oh. And then I'm watching, I'm like, I don't think they understand what RollStats perspective is. And he said you guys might do something together as well.
We have that in the works. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to come on to our last episode, but we are hoping to have him on in the future when he can.
Yeah, he's got some personal stuff coming up. So.
Yep. So the invitation is always open for him as well as of course for you as
I think we had discussed it.
Yeah. We've got plans for that.
I got it down somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. I have it in my brain. So
I have like 5 different channels that I'm always like sorting through, trying to find stuff in.
I'm always trying to like figure out, okay, which game is this Saturday? Because I rotate through like 4 games, and I've got all these interviews, which I have right now. Monday's my last one planned, and then after that, I might take a break for a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of crazy because it's like then people reach out and they'll be like, "Hey, did you still plan on having me on?" And I'm like, "Yes," and then it's like, "Thank you for reminding me. It's right there."
Yeah, I heard you say that you had a Pathfinder game this Saturday, and I think you'll probably really enjoy that. Pathfinder 2 is a really good system.
Oh yeah, it's super fun.
Like so I'm just really diving into it hard the last like month and a half, basically since Father's Day, and I love it because I felt like 5e I was getting a little not burnt out, but I feel like I've done so much with it since it came out, and it's I need that customization as a player, and so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Being able to like re-flavor things helps, but it only ever goes so far.
100%. Yep. And
Especially,
I'm not as excited about the new books for 5e either. I've noticed, I didn't get excited about the Eberron stuff. I was like, okay, Warforged.
I like Eberron personally, and I'm into it. But other than that, like anything else, like the Greekish kind of one that I saw, and the
Wildmount too.
Yeah, Wildmount I was slightly interested in, but only because I watched Critical Role. But then again, I'm like,
Yeah, like I loved Mordenkainen's and Volos and stuff like that. And then Ravnica came out, and I was like,
I bought that, and I really wish I didn't.
Yeah, it is so specific. It's like magic. The magic universe is so weird, and it doesn't really mesh well with D&D in my opinion. But
I think it's how they did it didn't work for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like the rule, it adds weird rules. Like, I don't need these rules.
The thing that I would take from Ravnica, honestly, is just the races, because Loxodons are so cool, and the Simic hybrids.
Races, monsters.
Yeah, that's like pretty much it. That's all I really need.
Minotaurs.
But at the same time, like, there's a lot of really excellent homebrew out there that you can use as inspiration of those monsters.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, like, to me, the book felt more unnecessary, I guess you could say, and just more of an overt brand deal.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's fair because Wizards owns both Magic and D&D, so they had to to do that whole crossover thing because magical D&D.
Yeah.
Right.
It's fine.
Man, if only they did like a supplement that was just all steampunk, that'd be super cool.
Technically Eberron is.
Oh, is
like
it?
It's magical steampunky noir as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like the floating ships and everything.
Yeah.
In there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's cool. I like the setting. It's just one of those things that I know it's not for
It seems a little thin though. Like I feel like Eberron, like that book should have been bigger.
I haven't looked at the full. I own the book, but I haven't read the entirety of it to see what they've changed from the 3.5 edition, because 3.5 had like 3 different Eberron books to have like massive. All that stuff. So,
and they're not going to make more. I don't.
No, of course
for
not.
5e, that's it. That one book's going to be the only thing.
They don't seem to be interested in fleshing out the settings for some reason. They're
just sticking with Forgotten Realms for the most part.
Yeah, and like even so, the fleshing of Forgotten Realms is bare minimum, I would say. Like you have to get Sword Coast Adventures Guide in order to even have that lore.
Yeah. Now, especially when you compare Forgotten Realms to like a more fleshed out setting like Wildemount. I can never say that right. Wildemount.
I think it's Wildemount, isn't it?
I think it is Wildemount.
Mercer says Wildemount, so I don't know. I honestly
you spelled it wrong.
Well, it is.
Yeah. Hey,
Mercer, you spelled your world wrong. Okay. You heard it here.
Get on it.
Yeah. There you go. Spill that tea.
Now are they?
Yes.
Are they leaving? This is just a thought that just came to me. Are they leaving a lot of the Forgotten Realms stuff unfleshed out and kind of giving you the bare minimum to allow dungeon masters to kind of fleshed out? That's what I think.
The feel I get.
Yeah. Well, the other feel that I get is that they've had it out for so long that there are literal like websites out there that you can just read all of the lore and find it all out easily.
Yeah.
Like the fandom.wiki is where like you can find everything. So
it's like how the other night, Boo, we were discussing that it was that race from the Shadowfell that were like essentially the Pain Devils that had an embassy in
the Chitons.
Yes. And we were both like, oh, well, Boris is from the Shadowfell. Like, you probably know those people and hate them.
Yep.
As he is wont to do with everything.
Yep. Well, except for Mocha.
So NoNet was asking you guys, or all of us, I guess, what are our thoughts on the new Icewind Dale adventure?
Is that the ice one that is the newest one that's coming?
It's got the owl on it.
Yeah, I've seen the cover. That's it.
Yeah, unfortunately. The thing is, I haven't been looking into Dungeons and Dragons stuff or Pathfinder stuff too much lately because, one, I am like a year into writing my Cthulhu campaign, and I've also just recently picked up a whole bunch of 7th Sea material, which I'm super interested in. Yeah.
So you guys are well versed in like multiple RPGs too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well versed is probably
compared to most people.
Okay, well,
most people, it's like, okay, I know of D&D.
So I would say we're definitely RPG curious. Yeah. How about that?
See, here's the thing: we purvey in extremely forbidden knowledge. Have you ever heard of the RPG Thirsty Sword Lesbians?
I have not.
That's true.
That is a real game. It doesn't exist yet. Doesn't exist yet, but it's a thing.
So about 5 years ago, we started this group on Facebook called the Tabletop RPG One Shot Group.
Okay.
And the premise was that there were a bunch of us who had all these obscure RPGs that nobody would play with us. So the idea was, and this is all a bunch of people online, hey, I'll play in your game if you play in my game kind of thing. And so it started this whole thing. Now it ended up being mostly 5e games after like 2 months. But we had like the most obscure games you can think of, like Maid the RPG, which you literally play as a bunch of maids and try to earn favor from like your master or something.
I love it.
It was, it was ridiculous. I didn't play it, but I remember watching it because I was so intrigued. And all the players, I think they were like one of them actually dressed up and wore a wig. But like that was the whole premise. It was like, guys, we should dress up and be these maids. One's like a robot maid. One was like an animal creature.
Oh, dude, that's cool.
It was pretty pretty goofy.
Yeah.
It was hilarious, but
yeah. I'd say my experience, and I think most of our experience, because we've all pretty much been like the same in like various bits and pieces of the same RPG group, has been D&D 3.5, D&D 1E, sort of a basic game. It was either basic or advanced, but it was 1E.
It was basic.
Yeah, we played. It was basic.
And then
I also played basic, but it was different.
Yeah, that campaign became a 5e campaign. And we just kind of like transposed our characters over. Call of Cthulhu, Cyberpunk.
Well, not Cyberpunk, it was Shadowrun.
Yeah, it was Shadowrun, but we removed all of the magic elements of it, making it essentially Cyberpunk.
Basically,
yeah.
Call of Cthulhu is fun. I've played it a couple times.
Excellent.
Yeah. I feel like it's the perfect one-shot system. I know you said you were writing a campaign, but like for me, I like being able to just quickly play a character like for one night, maybe 2 nights, and that's it for Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, this is that I agree that Call of Cthulhu is awesome for one-shots because, you get to tell this nice little concise horror story, and it doesn't matter as much if your character dies. You might be able to assume an NPC character if the DM has written out stats for them. And one that functions a lot better for actual campaigns is Pulp Cthulhu, where you have like more HP.
Yes.
Sanity is a bit less of a problem. Luck is way stronger. Right. But I just know that at least in our friend group, we want that kind of like nail-biting horror kind of thing. So we don't want to do it as much in Call of Cthulhu. I mean, we don't want to do it as much in Pulp Cthulhu. My bad.
Sure. Do you guys live close together? Like
no.
Oh, okay. So how do you know each other?
First, I was uploading on YouTube, and then I met a friend, and then through that friend, I met Brogan, who is like the fourth member of our group. And then
No Nat Ones.
Sorry, my bad. So I met No Nat Ones through my YouTube stuff. Was it like 9 years ago or something?
Yeah, because he did Nintendo videos.
Ago. Yes.
Yep.
Like 9 years ago. And then through him, I met both Aiden and Alejo. And ever since then, we've been hanging out, playing games, playing RPGs, etc.
Yeah, and coincidentally, I also met Brogan through YouTube because I was also making YouTube videos around the same time that he was. And it was one of those things where it was a complete happenstance that somebody who we both knew at the time like introduced us to each other, and then we found out that we lived close together, and then we started talking and we hung out in real life, and then we went to college together. It was very surreal, honestly.
Yeah, which is where they both met me.
Yes.
I'm the odd one out because while they are all in like the far north, I am.
How far north are we talking here?
You guys all started out
what
in Maine,
states or
right?
whatever. It's Maine.
Yeah.
Maine, yeah.
Okay, you all started. Yeah. Now you guys have spread out a bit.
We've all spread out. Yeah.
At this point in time, like I'm so far north, I am basically in Canada.
Yeah.
Most of my family, for reference, is Canadian.
Gotcha.
So like I speak a little French.
Yeah, because you're East Canadian, so it's like mostly French over there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mostly French, but you have the benefit of when speaking to Canadians, you just you add kind of like an accent like this to however you speak, and you also can get the liberty of substituting out a French word you don't know with an English word, just kind of seamlessly, and people follow.
That's useful.
And it's not like they're like, oh yeah, he speaks French. Like he's perfectly fluent in Spanish.
I mean, it's not perfect. Like I was visiting family one time, and turns out that they eat a lot of food up in Canada. Like they out Americans.
I don't know. I have family in North Carolina, and I've never you can go to one of their houses and you will have a full table spread. And say you're just there to pick something up, like they will prepare a whole table for you.
Yeah.
And then, because we would travel, I'm in Michigan, we would travel down there and then we'd be like, oh yeah, let's go see, our cousin, for the next half hour. We go over there, a whole nother table spread. We're like, we just ate. And then we'd like call somebody else and be like, hey, we're going to come over after we're done eating if you want to hang out. We go over there, more food, like what
more
the
food.
hell,
Yeah,
people?
that makes sense.
Yeah, hey, we're eating dinner at this house. We'll come swing by and we'll say hello. Hint, hint. We've already eaten.
Yeah, I'm a large guy, and I remember getting to like that second and third house, and I'm like, I can't eat. Like, you
I remember,
and it's rude if you don't. Like, they get mad.
Oh, of course, of course. Gotta at least take some.
We stayed with my aunt while we were there, and we had like this full spread breakfast. A few foods of which I hadn't tried. They have a literal dip. It's called like gratin, and it is basically like pork fat. That you just spread on toast.
Ooh.
And it's very salty, very rich, very delicious, but like you can feel
Does
the
it taste like bacon?
Kind of.
That's what I'm imagining, like a really salty bacon spread.
It's like the saltiness is sort of like a halfway point between bacon and like salt pork. And
so is it more like pate? Essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you spread it with a knife.
Gotcha. Because when you said like it's a spread made of pork fat, I'm just thinking like, is it just a tub of water? It's like,
that's how I imagined it looking.
yeah. But now that's pate. Yeah, no.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what made you guys decide to start an RPG channel, by the way?
Oh, well.
Especially together. Because it's like a podcast, right?
So I have I can't stop thinking about them. I can't stop thinking about RPGs. So I was just like, I've always kind of flirted with the idea of starting a podcast because I used to do a lot of video game content, which never really took off that much. And like, it became sort of less passionate, I suppose. It became more formulaic in a sense. And I even now, I still try to do it every now and again because I still like it and I still have some passion for it. I still have a lot of passion for it. That's the case. But video making in that kind of respect is hard. Yeah. And then I was kind of surfing on YouTube, watching some RPG content, and I was like, I kind of like stopped and listened to some of it, and I was like, wait, like I would every now and again like kind of go, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that.
Just like you're sitting alone in your room and like you hear something and like you kind of squint your eyes and cock your head to the side and you're like,
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was I got two options here. I can angrily type in the comments.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. You can only get so much in a comment, right? Like you can plan it out. You can really like take your time with it and I guess get everything concisely, but it doesn't carry the same emotion, I suppose, as being able to say it out loud.
And I'm sure you guys know as content creators, like sometimes when people are taking the opposite stance, sometimes it feels like they're trolling you too.
Absolutely.
So sometimes people don't even take you seriously when you have a well thought out response.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like therein also lies a difference of for instance, on the show, we tend to get a little heated as the video goes on, and
very
little past mistakes kind of snowball. And
it does. It
rile
does
each other up.
It does.
Yeah. And like it doesn't really, at least for me, come from a place of maliciousness. I guess you could say it's more.
You guys name drop quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's because we've covered content. When we cover somebody, then we think about their stuff.
It's mostly when someone says something so ridiculous that it's so memorable.
Yes. Becomes sort of a living meme.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like one of the ones is cut their hands off.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
If they're cheating, you've got to cut their hands off from How to Be a Great GM.
Like,
and the thing is, like, as
cheating, you gotta cut their hands off.
It's in his Are you a dice tosser?
No.
Are you a dice tosser? The video. I highly recommend it. It's a hilarious video.
Yeah, it's a rant about how people you either improperly use or just use bad dice or cheat or be sus as hell, and then he gets like angrier and angrier as he go, and he eventually is like, "Oh, if you're cheating, I want to cut your hands off." Not exactly those words, but he does exactly say, "Cut their hands off."
It is mentioned, and so it's one of those things that just sticks out. And you, again, like it was like stated, it's not out of malice. It's quite literally because, at least for me, there's standards that I have for content, right? Sure. And like I believe that there are some things that should be taken into consideration when you're making stuff. And so I don't know. It's one of those things where when you hear something that is ridiculous like that, you go, they edited this, right? They rewatched this. They stand by this now?
You totally overestimate how much work some people put into videos. Now, Guy puts a lot into his. I don't put that much work into mine.
And honestly, I would love to talk to him. I would. Like, legitimately.
I'd be so honored to have him on.
Every single person that we talk to, save a few, there's a couple that we might not really have like good discussion with. But
most they are off air.
Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, this is like
said,
your
exactly.
I'm friends with a lot of the people I've heard you guys name drop.
No.
I don't know Scott
I'm sure.
or Guy personally, but like a lot of the people you guys have mentioned in some of your videos, I'm like, hey, I'm good friends with them. Oh, I've
absolutely. And like, again, we would love to, like, I know that some things have been said in the heat of the moment that are probably a little too much, right? Especially for me, because I get that way. I see red every now and again, and I can't help it. I do. It's bad.
I think it's easy to, like, even in this format, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the moment. Like, oh, I'm just talking to this person one-on-one. You forget that it's in the world. Like, everybody can see it.
I mean, even so, like,
especially too, like when you're a group of like 3 people who know each other, it tends to get a little echo chambery.
Yep.
Which is why, like, I will at times try to be like, all right, now, like, hold up, hold up.
And I appreciate it every time.
Adolf does seem like the mediator of the group.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Every time he does,
like the instigator, and then you, Alejo, you kind of ride the middle, but go on emotion.
Yes. Yes. Oh, absolutely. You've got us.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head.
Honestly, and I feel like it helps with starting that kind of discussion, because somebody will listen to it and go, "You're wrong. What are you saying? Stop."
Right.
I honestly hope that people will call me out if I am wrong. Absolutely. Like I want to be called out. So,
like the whole point of the podcast was to promote discussion and discourse within the RPG community, and if possible, get more people in the RPG community, because we're all pretty passionate about RPGs in general.
You have to start putting out content. Like,
exactly.
It's hard to just put out content if you're not.
Yeah, and the other
RPGs.
The other thing is to promote that critical thought, because like, I know when I was talking to Aiden once, you were saying, hey, I've started watching videos differently where you will now like watch them, pause and go.
Yeah, like a lot of videos I watched before, I just kind of have them on as like background noise, because I'm like, it's RPG related and I like these things, so I'll just have it on in the background while like playing a game or something.
You guys are more critical of it now, though.
Yeah, and then now I'll pause the game, I'll alt tab, I'll rewind back a couple, like 5-10 seconds, and then like re-listen and like pause for a minute with like hands steepled as I go. Is this something I want to like take the time to write out a comment for? Is it something I post in the source channel? Like, how do I feel about this? And like because we're just trying to promote discussion, we're trying to get people thinking like, is this accurate? Is this a good way to represent this? If not, how perhaps can we change this? And it's criticism with the intent of bettering the community as a whole. And along the way, if we are wrong, so be it. Let us know so that we can correct it.
Absolutely.
How much
and
of
unfortunately we just kind of boil over sometimes.
It's just going to be a part of it, and if it drives some people off, that's unfortunate.
Like some of the best content isn't necessarily the most accurate. It's the most memorable. It's a strong take. I mean,
where's the lamb sauce?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it is definitely part of it. Absolutely.
Like you could be as accurate as you want to be, but like if you're not entertaining, no one's gonna watch.
Oh, absolutely.
It's true.
Absolutely.
With no
you could have the best teacher in the world, but then when they're lecturing you and you're falling asleep, well, didn't exactly learn anything, did you?
Exactly. But even if they're wrong a little bit, but they're entertaining as crap, you're gonna learn stuff. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then
you might learn the wrong thing, but you're still gonna learn some stuff.
And then once you get the guys like us that come over and go,
I once had a biochem professor of mine tell me that fish could not breathe underwater. Like it was impossible. That any
is he missing a word called oxygen or air?
It was that, well, her whole point was that oxygen would bubble up and evaporate out of solution. And I was like, how do fish breathe? And I remember nothing from the biochem class except for her telling me that, because that was the moment I checked out of the class.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And one of the things that can happen as a result even of being wrong is if you are trying to teach someone or tell someone something and you're entertaining but you're wrong, you may have gotten that person invested enough to the point where they're like, that didn't sound right, maybe I should look that up.
That's true. That's true.
Again, just promoting that critical thought.
That's how I got into Pathfinder 2nd Edition originally. Is because people are like, it's just like 5e, except it's got a little bit more rules. Or then it was, no, it's just like Pathfinder 1e, but they changed the action economy. And I'm like, no, there's more than that.
Yeah.
So I started looking into it more, and I'm like, I really like this.
I really like 2e because as much of a fanboy as I am of 3.5, it's what got me into D&D to begin with. It offers a bit more structure than 5e does, and has a lot more rules for like niche situations that can be fun to play around with.
It's true.
But it isn't quite as archaic and outdated as 3.5 is, and I like that it provides that happy medium.
Yeah, it seems like it's got like, I'm still trying to figure out all the situational stuff. I've been going through, what is it, Basics for Gamers or something like that. I've been going through a lot of his for Pathfinder.
Yes. I think we did a video on him, didn't we?
Yeah, when when we had Brogan on, we did the Archetypes one, I believe. Yeah, it was very good.
His stuff is very good information. It's some of it's dry as heck. I'm not gonna lie, like, but it's good information.
Sure, yeah.
Same thing with Nonat. Like, I'll go through his stuff. I'm like, I really like watching this, and I'm not sucking up to you, dude. Like, don't even get excited.
No, absolutely.
But it's good information. Obviously, you could just read the book and get the same stuff, but I like the organization of the Basics for Gamers or whatever.
And to be fair, for Pathfinder 2e specifically, that book is terrible to read in the sense of its construction.
Mess.
Yes, and everyone does it, and it's unfortunate. It's the only thing that I dislike a lot about 2e. It's just the core rule.
Yeah, because the size of the book does not bother me at all.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
especially
I got my money
for how much is in it.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward. I've got Humble Bundle had a fundraiser a while back, and I got the handbook that way, and I am looking forward.
It's still
to
going on, I think,
in.
for a couple more days.
Oh, is it? Oh, good.
I think it's just a couple more days. It might have just ended. I don't know.
I thought it had just ended, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. It's okay though. Either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I think is going to end up becoming my go-to system for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I just got to grasp rules are important to me. I do like 5e. You guys were saying like it just doesn't it's too loose. I kind of like that from a game master standpoint.
Oh, sure.
But as a player, it's too much up in the air depending on who you're playing with. And then I don't like the fact that it's like, okay, you pick a class and a race and it's like, here, you put this kit and this kit together, there's your character. I wish it had more customization. I wish it had more feats.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And originally 5e, when it came out, they said it was going to be a more modular system. The problem is they never made it modular. Like it was supposed to start getting like that with future books. And Mike Merle said that back in like 2014 and it never happened. And I don't know why. I don't know if it just got too successful and they're like, oh, let's just stick with what's working. I don't know.
That's strange. Yeah. I mean, the most profitable option is the best for them at this point, you know, like everybody knows 5e and it's so easy for anybody to pick up. Like I will stand by that 5e is very good for beginners.
Yes. It's the perfect gateway to RPGs.
Oh yeah.
I would say so, yes.
And it's got just enough that someone who's experienced and knows how to play can jump in and have a good time as well.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I remember back when I was making my first D&D character, I was like, what is a base attack bonus? Like, I don't understand this. And I was like trying to hash things out with my DM at the time.
I never played 3.5. I went from 2nd edition D&D. So I played Palladium books in 97. That's what got me into RPGs, like Heroes Unlimited, TMNT, a little bit of Rifts. And then I played that system exclusively because it covers all the stuff until 2010 when I met my wife and she got me into 2nd edition D&D. And then it took a couple years, but then I was like, you know what? This Pathfinder game looks pretty cool. And so then we got into that, and shortly after getting into that, 5e was starting to come out. I was playing the D&D Next playtest at a store. And then we ended up switching over to Pathfinder. And after like a couple months I dropped like a bunch of money on it too, like $400, $500 overnight almost. And then we played a couple sessions alone. Then we played with a group, and then 5e actually came out and we just ported everything over. Just never looked back. But I had like 2 rows on my bookshelf for Pathfinder that I was like, oh shoot, I'm never going to use this stuff.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, the fact that you played Pathfinder 1e, you've basically played 3.5. Like it is very similar.
I sucked at the rules though. We would, because I had no idea, and I would be like, yeah, we're playing, and I'd be like, yeah, I don't know how that works. I'd be like, you look it up. 30 minutes later, they still haven't found it, like how it actually works. And I realized real quick, I was like, this might not be our game right now.
As I've DM'd a game that has been going on for, I think, just a tad over 2 years. And every now and then there's still a rule that I don't quite know off the top of my head. And I'm just behind my DM screen, like face exterior perfectly casual, and I'm like madly Googling something.
Right. Oh, I know with 2nd edition Pathfinder, once I start running it, I'm going to screw up so much. Like even like just the way like the hidden thing works, where it's like you're undetected, you're hidden, you're like that whole thing. I can't even grasp quite. Yeah. Like I get it, but I don't.
They do run into I call it status bloat. Myself, and there's just too many variations on a mechanic, and I understand like that you're trying to get different tiers of it and naming different tiers of the same thing based on like how powerful the effect is going to be problematic. But when you're trying to read through an already cluttered and disorganized book for one particular thing, it gets really rough as an end user.
Yeah, that's like the big one for me is I think going to be that, because I have my wife likes to play stealthy type characters, and you know, and now they've got like all these different. You have like the imprecise sense of smell with like catfolk and other stuff, and you got precise stuff. I'm like, ooh, I don't. Really,
I think for
that's
gotta play around with it.
I think for Pathfinder 2e specifically, it's going to be one of those things where it's just like, I'm just gonna have the rule book open at all times. Like I don't know if I even like where I have committed way too much 5e to memory. I don't know if I have space for 2e stuff. I don't know.
I felt like I knew 5e within a week of reading the book, though.
Yeah.
It was no problem, and I've never looked back. And now I feel like with 2nd edition Pathfinder, like I'm gonna run it and I'm gonna make a ruling, and it's basically gonna be a 5e ruling. Like that's what's gonna happen all the time, like until I feel like I understand it.
As I've gotten more and more experience going back to 3.5 because of our Devils and Dice campaign, I still get edition muddling really easily. So when I'm DMing my campaign, they'll be like, they'll be going along and I'll be like, oh yeah, roll me a listen check real quick. They're what? And at this point in time, they basically know, okay, spot and listen are perception, and the players are really good when I say, roll a listen check, and they look at me and then they roll a d20, and I'm like, oh wait, no, a perception check. They're like, I know.
I know I'm gonna do that too.
I've been doing that too, where I'm more used to 5th edition because it was the one that I first really learned the mechanics of, and so I still, when it's like, oh, go ahead and make me a perception check. Wait, what? Oh, spot. And then my thing with 3.5 versus 5th edition, I love 5th edition. 5th edition is great. It is
it's a fine edition.
It is a wonderful little gateway.
It's the best edition of D&D in my opinion.
Yeah, pretty much, especially for beginners. My thing with 3.5 though is that I just love all the like the more niche rules where you guys tend to play characters who will, you guys want to start a tavern or, you want to make a business. And 3.5 has rules for that. I love it. Whereas 5th edition doesn't have some of the more complex stuff. It's just that when you're doing basic sword and sorcery stuff, you're going on an adventure, killing dragons, yada, yada, yada. You don't really need all that. But when you're starting to play games that, you've done all that, you want to do something different. You want to, you want to set up a business or run a guild or
go open the Dungeon Master's Guide 2 and you go to like page 119, I think, or something. And then you go look at all the tables for if you're in a troop, if you're in a tavern, if you're, it's so cool.
Now you just heard troop. You had to say troop. I missed the tabaxi.
The dandelions.
The dandelions.
We had a one-shot campaign where we were all 3 tabaxi brothers that was going to be like no combat, and when we were making our characters, it was in 5th edition, and I was like, stop. It's like, wait a minute, how much money do you guys have? They told me how much money they have. Okay, we're not buying a cart, we're not buying a horse, we're buying an elephant. And we traveled around on an elephant, and it was so great.
So I'm getting this vision of like the beginning of Aladdin when he first does the spell and he's a prince. He's barging into the city on the elephant. That's all I can see.
That is a basic.
One of us had a skywrite, so we would announce the dandelions are coming to town.
So you guys were called the dandelions?
Yes.
Like
we had costumes,
not like the flower.
No, the dandy lions.
Yes, it was the play on both because we had the costumes that made us into lions, and they were, the manes and stuff, and it kind of looked like, a dandelion-ish, right? But like,
it was fun.
It was, oh man,
it was a one shot that we wanted to go back to so bad.
Why?
We just, I don't know.
We just busyness, life got in the way.
Basically.
We have played so many quote unquote one shots that became campaigns of their own.
It's true.
And when we played the Dandelions one shot, we were like, all right, guys, it's a one shot. We're not making it a campaign. And then an hour into this session, we're like, this is going to be a new campaign.
This is so, it was just so much fun.
It never happened again.
And then the one shot that actually was a one shot was the one where I just sat down. I was like, nope, this is ending tonight.
Yes,
I just killed the bad guy. Soloed him.
I've had that happen too. Like I played with other YouTubers online, and we ended up turning things into campaigns like the Provokers and things like that. And there was a game that I felt like was going to become it, and they had fought a Baylor at the end, and I was like, nope, fire damage because you killed it with the portal thing, and you all died.
Oh,
So you got to do that. You got to end it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, as long as you kind of do have to force it if you're not going to be able to like meet again at all, or you're pressed for like time and so but I know we don't do that much.
Yeah,
because we're just
you
like
guys get the luxury of playing with each other all the time too.
Yeah, it's true.
Do you guys play with any other groups like outside of this?
I do 2 other games, one on Wednesdays and one on Fridays, and I'm starting to feel it.
Player or DM?
I'm a player, so
okay, that's not as bad then.
Yeah, I used to DM on Fridays, but then I burned out, and so I was just like, I just can't right now, And now I'm starting to feel it as a player playing 3 games, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, right? Every now and again, I just don't feel it, but
you
it's
find
still
it hard
fun
to focus on like the games you're in because you're like you got other thoughts about the other games. I feel like that's my big thing. Like I'm running 3 games that are monthly.
Yeah,
on Saturdays. Yeah, I'm running Tyranny of Dragons. I'm running Descent into Avernus, and then I have my homebrew that I just played this past Saturday.
Gotcha.
And like, so I'm like so short sighted because like this week I'm thinking I'm like, okay, cool, I get to play this week. I'm not running a game, and that's Pathfinder. Great. I think the next week is Descent into Avernus, but I won't start thinking about that till Sunday. But like that whole time, that week, all I'm focused on is that game. I'm not even thinking about my other ones.
Right.
So I feel like my prep isn't as good as it could be. Like I'm just not as into all of my games as I want to be. Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And the more games I play, the worse that gets.
Yeah, but they're so fun to play, and you just want to play all the time, and then it just becomes a cycle of just I'm getting tired, but I really want to play some more, but I'm getting tired, but I really want to play some more.
And then it's like I need a break. I'm kind of depressed today. Damn, I need to play a game. But I'm depressed and tired and stuff because I'm running and playing some games.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. I know that.
And
I don't get that with video games.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no.
I actually kind of go back and forth. Oh, right. Answering your question. I have a game that I run for some of my coworkers / friends that I was basically peer pressured into running because I made sort of off the cuff comment of like, oh, I would maybe DM a D&D game for you guys like someday in the future. But if I did, it would have to be Elder Scrolls based. Because I'm a huge Elder Scrolls nerd, and they're like, "Oh, we should get that campaign going." And I was like, "Yeah, someday in the future." And then we were all going out to see a movie, and we stopped in at a local like books and music store, and they all bought dice. And I'm like, "Well, now that you've spent money on it, I have to make this campaign now." And that's been going for a while, but we're in the middle of a 2-week break right now, so. Now I've just been devoting a lot of my energy on Boo's campaign.
And then this is the only I don't actually have any personal RPG playing friends where I live because I don't live where they do. They're all up north. I'm down south in Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good old Southern boy.
Southern boy. And so
he knows all about those table spreads of food then.
Yeah, they're great. But so this I've tried to run many games in the past, all with this group. This is the only one that's lasted as long as it has, mostly just because of work, school, things like that. And now that everybody's kind of in a more stable place in their lives, we can actually make this work. And so it has been a ton of fun finally getting to see a campaign actually really grow and flourish and see characters change and all that.
I have yet to finish a campaign.
Like, me too.
Like I've never finished one in all of my time other than little one shots or maybe like a 3-off thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. I was gonna say, plus it helps that we record it and just like post it, and it kind of gives that obligation of like we got to do this every week.
Yes,
right? I remember I mentioned that to you a while back. The fact that it has, I guess, become part of the TableTalk brand. I'm like, well, if I don't meet this week, not only am I disappointing my friends, but I'm also disappointing any potential viewers. And like. Boris has got to be there
Yeah, exactly. We haven't done a session where not all of us are there, right? Like we're all there every time because it's just not the same otherwise.
Not to mention, I have this thing as a DM where even if I know the player and the character very well, I can never really shake the discomfort of playing someone else's character for them without them being there. I know that you guys trust me, and you're like, you can always like, oh, go put him on autopilot if you need to like walk away for a time. But I am always like, okay, your character is now like standing there, dead face, drooling, and he'll just follow you around. You know, exactly. So that way I don't do anything that you wouldn't do.
Yeah, but
it's just a hang up for me.
But at the same time, I feel that's something a lot of DMs do. It's something I've definitely done.
Oh yeah, I just make them go. You are following them. Go.
Yeah. The character is there, but like no one in the no NPCs in the world basically acknowledge them.
Yep.
And they don't really say anything and are just kind of there in a corner drooling.
So I did the I have a player who just quit 2 sessions ago.
Oh.
And I actually, it was in the middle of a dungeon. Ooh. And so this last session, he was still with the group. So he's a warlock. So I just was like, Eldritch Blast every time. And I felt kind of bad because we were kind of dumping on his character the whole time. Because like he was talking shit. He got pushed down the stairs. They started out.
Oh, that'll happen.
It was like just back and forth with like me role playing him against them. And like, yeah. And then when they got to the city, finally, he's like, "Well, skip you guys. I'm going my own way." And he, like, the one player in the party refused to pay his toll to get in.
Of course, yeah.
There
Why
you
should
go.
they pay the gold?
Yeah, no, absolutely, makes total sense.
So now they've split, but it's open to where if he does ever join again, his character's still out there if he wanted to play it. So.
Yeah, we have a player in my campaign. It's our druid who, because of time constraints, has been unable to meet for a couple months now. And
is he in the woods somewhere?
He is
talking to animals.
The party doesn't know this, so I really hope no one from my campaign is watching this right now.
They aren't. Don't worry, I have a small channel.
Okay.
What are you talking about? You're talking to us.
It's taken me 8 years to get as big as I am. So,
oh well, hey.
Most of my subscribers stopped watching like 5 years ago.
Isn't that just the way?
But they're protecting a caravan, and they don't know it yet. But he has somehow or another managed to stow away on board of one of the wagons, so that if he's able to join sometime over like the next few sessions or so, I'll just have him be discovered by one of the people on the wagons, and we're like, "You're here."
Nice.
And he has a monkey that he trained to help make potions, and then that monkey died and was brought back to life and is now sentient fully.
What system is this?
5e.
Oh, okay. Nice. I love that.
And yeah, I gave him a monkey familiar that he named Bubbles after Michael Jackson's monkey.
Right. I grew up on Michael Jackson, so you know.
Oh,
I loved Michael Jackson as a kid.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, good music.
And the party, as they were leaving the town that they were in, they wanted that monkey. Come hell or high water, they were taking that monkey with them. And I'm like, I feel kind. Oh yeah, they literally. The monkey wants to open up a potion shop in one of the towns that they're going to. And a prisoner that they captured, the monkey was like, "Can I just like have him and then like have him sign on the business names and like the land deals and stuff like that? Because I'm a monkey. They're not going to sign a business contract with me. But if it's the business is in his name, a cultist.
If it's a criminal, of course they will."
Yeah.
Yeah, a cultist worshipping Vermina, the Prince of Nightmares.
I love it.
But I felt kind of bad having them take the monkey with them, so I was like, all right, screw it. Gurman is just stowing away in one of the caravans, and he will basically stop in the same city that the monkey stops, and then that way I can ensure that the two are always geographically together.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I love stuff like that. I've never gotten the chance to play in a campaign that's not about killing bad guys, getting loot. Like I've never played opening a magic shop or any of that stuff.
Oh, dude. It's so good. Like I can say when I was DMing, my group decided, and it was one of them was playing as a drow cleric who came from the Underdark up to the surface, because in my homebrew world, the Underdark had just been discovered, basically, and a war was going on between the surface and the Underdark because of things that were happening, right? And so she came up because she was trying to find allies on the surface to try to stop this war one way or the other, right? And so she went to this town that's full of mages. It's basically just a neutral kind of place where mages go to learn more magic if they're not a part of like the kingdom. And so she met with a tiefling who he was a pyromancer, specifically sorcerer, and they together came up with the idea to start making money and get kind of contacts with some of the underground kind of stuff by building a tavern. And they quite literally drew it out. One of them made it in The Sims and showed it to me, I was like, it was great. It was super cool. Man. It is incredibly cool to see when they were getting into it and like planning out, this is where we'll get the prostitutes, this is where the dining will be, this is the baths, this is where the guests that aren't going with the prostitutes are going to be, this is where they will,
and this is when you need to have them go ahead and make it in Minecraft so you can get a 3D view of it.
Absolutely.
I don't know, The Sims is pretty 3D as well.
It is
yeah, that's true. You can do the first person stuff, right? Forgot about
that. Players in my campaign did something really similar. They took for those of you guys who are familiar with the spell Marvolo's Magnificent Mansion, it opens up.
I suck at spells. I know none.
It opens up basically a mansion with invisible servants in a little pocket dimension of its own.
It's like Jim Darkmagic's home or something.
Yeah. And what I did was I made an item that I call Wandel's Wondrous Wagon. Okay. And it is just a wagon on wheels, regular wagon on the outside, but on the inside is a small pocket dimension. And for 2 gold per square foot and 100 gold per invisible servant, you can draw out your own mansion or dwelling place and design it how you want. I had one of my players build a schematic and send it to me that we then made the cost based off of that.
Nice.
And they opened up a tavern on wheels, basically, that they call the Flagon Wagon.
Yes.
And
I feel like I've heard that name before, though. The Flagon Wagon. Like, I feel like that's a common name or something.
Probably.
Or maybe it's your player was
something that we've learned throughout the years now has been nothing is original. Just somebody has already thought of it. It's fine.
They've got a NPC that's basically Austin Powers, the bartender.
Yep.
That's great, but not in 2020. You gotta be careful there. I wouldn't stream that.
We don't.
It's one of those things.
I've never seen an Austin Powers movie, so they're describing him, and I'm like, okay, whatever you guys say.
You could not make an Austin Powers movie today, I don't think.
You couldn't make so many movies today.
Yeah, I've seen clips of it, and I'm like,
it's not that good. It's like I remember them.
It's stupid humor, but I love stupid humor.
And stupid humor can be good. Like Airplane. Airplane's pretty funny to me. Like that kind of stuff where it's intelligently stupid, I guess. It's a weird way to put it. Would you
consider the Holy Grail part of that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Monty Python and the Holy Grail is
all Monty
definitely
Python stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But I'm not even a big fan of Monty Python stuff, though. I need to go back and rewatch it. I haven't really watched it since high school. So again, we're talking about like 20 years ago now.
Yeah, I watched it with
17 years ago, I guess.
I watched Monty Python it's been a few months since, I think, and like I still found it funny, but the person I was watching it with didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's just a very particular sense of humor. That's all.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
hit or miss, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's weird that you mentioned Monty Python because I actually just yesterday when I was at work, I just was thinking about Monty Python sketches, not just like Holy Grail.
I love the sketches.
And I was just watching some of the sketches. And one of my favorites that I can still find is the Argument Clinic. God, I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys like British humor in general?
I do very much.
I'm typically not as big on it personally.
Same here. Like it's hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
My wife loves
absolutely.
it. But for me, I'm like,
I like that dry wit.
Yeah.
So,
I do like some witty humor. So being a dad, I love dad jokes though too. Like so I love stupid humor. There's no intelligence to it at all. It's just
I would actually heavily recommend. There's a show I've been binge watching called Letterkenny.
Letterkenny.
Letterkenny, one word.
Yep.
I think someone recommended that before.
It's so good.
What is it on? Is it on any streaming services?
I have it on Hulu.
Okay, I have Hulu, so I can watch that.
Yeah, I would heavily recommend it.
Yeah. We're in the middle of watching Cursed, and then after that, we're watching Umbrella Academy 2. The second season.
People have Umbrella Academy.
People have said
that
it's good.
Recommended a lot to me. Is it?
It's so good. It's not what you would expect, I feel. Like the first season, like it started off one way and then it ends a different way, and you're like, "Whoa!" It's there's a little bit of darkness to it as well. Like,
okay. Oh, I like.
It's not like a Superman type of story. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's got like drug usage. It's
sure.
It's not something you watch.
It's unconventional.
Yes, it's really good. It would be more in line with like Watchmen. I would say.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Something kind of along those lines. But it's a superhero group that's like family. They're like all adopted. And they all have different abilities, and this one rich guy adopts them to turn them into or like this.
Gotcha.
That's cool.
The word umbrella has been tainted for me by Resident Evil.
I knew you were going to say that, the Umbrella Academy. We have a security service that uses that logo, but they made the red blue.
It's blue. Yeah. I've seen many people post pictures of it.
Okay, maybe it's like national. I don't know, but like in our city,
there's a hospital that has that.
Yeah.
But
it's true.
the red is green.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna die. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, we already knew that. But.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things. Let that existentialism come. It's fine.
I play RPGs to avoid this.
Oh no, the themes in it are also the same. No.
Everything is.
Oh, I feel so bad because especially what with current events and like the epidemic going on, I've had plans to use a plague sweeping across the city for so long, and I'm like, I can't. I literally can't.
You can. It's better. It's better now. Now you know how the world really will react.
Now it feels even more oppressive.
There's those memes going around about like why doesn't anyone ever listen to the scientists in the movies who are warning them, like in Jurassic Park and stuff. It's like now we understand why. I mean, really, it's only an American thing, right? But
yeah.
So,
what do we have, like
sorry,
triple the number of people
all you
in
conservatives
Brazil
that are watching us right now?
Well,
I'm not.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can feel however you want to feel about it. It's just you'll have your opinion, we'll have ours. That's where I'll draw the line there.
Opinions backed by feeling.
This is
or
turning
by
into a tabletop discussion.
See, this is
episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you see how it happens.
Yes.
It starts small.
It does.
It's innocuous.
A long time ago, I used to do a podcast with a friend, and we used to quickly, like, because we were so used to talking off stream, there were times where like we would get each other going, and it would be like I don't know, we would say something that we would never say on stream about somebody or something like RPG related or whatever, and it was like, ooh, I'm gonna edit that out later.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had any
guys.
faux pas like that, but
Yeah, but we toe the line sometimes.
I mean, it wasn't anything
absolutely.
bad. Like, so I tell people straight to their face what I think. But like back in the day, there was a group on Facebook called the YouTube RPG Brigade for YouTubers. And there was this very elitist mentality between some of the people.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah,
I haven't. I'm excited now.
So there were people like, so I used to defend people who like to min-max, optimize, whatever, right?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Because there's nothing wrong with building optimal characters in my
Absolutely.
It's a problem.
It's just a style of play.
Yeah, it's a problem when you purposely overshadow other players. You steal the spotlight. You're just a crappy team player, right?
Yeah.
And so
protagonist syndrome.
Yeah. So my big issue was always that they would say automatically power gamers are bad. Like we need to boot them out of the house.
Yes.
Like there were people that used to say that a lot about 6-7 years ago.
Yes.
And so me and this other person called them elitist. And so we had problems with people who would say stuff like that. And we used to talk about it sometimes on stream, but we would mention the people who were elitist by name, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, so it was stuff like that. And then like we would talk about the things that like made them elitist. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. And again, it was I've over the years I've become friends with some of those people, and I've talked to them. I've told them that I used to think they were elitist. And I think a lot of it was the definition of power gamer in a lot of those instances.
Yeah, definitions are definitely important.
Yeah. There is, no matter what, a balance of the game that must be preserved.
Yes.
And for instance,
people dump on Critical Role people all the time, and I'm like, no, Critical Role's bringing people to the hobby. It's good for all games.
There's actually episode 1 of TableTalk is about the Mercer effect.
It's true.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that one then. So you guys are gonna suck me in, and I'm gonna be like, oh, why didn't you get any videos done this last month? Well, I've been binging Tabletop discussion. I'm 3 episodes in.
Yes. Be chanting, cut off their hands like the rest of us.
Just ask Guy about that. I'm gonna reach out to him and be like, hey Guy, I heard you think that I should cut my hands off because I fudged dice rolls before.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. Do it. I would love to see what he says.
I should have him on like my show and
get a little like timestamp of him saying cut off their hands and wait for him to say something and then post it in chat. Be like, this you?
I need a soundboard, like, so every time something comes up, I can push it, and it'll be like, Guy, cut off your hands.
Dude, I would love to get a soundboard of that. Yes.
Oh my god!
All the things
if you isolate that MP3, send it to me, please.
It's not hard. I could do it in like 10 minutes if I.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Start putting in all my videos. Smash that subscribe button, and if you're not, cut off your hands.
But then they can't smash the subscribe button if they don't.
They
have
got
hands.
Nubs that they could do.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And
true.
the feet also exist.
Or their nose.
Like, come on. Yeah.
They can.
All right. Fair enough.
This is terrible. Now I feel like I'm making fun of like disabled people. I can't do that. That's wrong.
Well, no, you're saying that they can still do it. You're encouraging.
I was going to say
that's true. That's true.
Exactly. You're not making fun of them because of their disabilities.
But going back to your point on power gamers, I have nothing against power gamers. In fact, actually, one of my
I do as a DM.
Sure, you can absolutely.
One of my players is a spell sword that we basically kind of homebrewed his class, and he's got some really cool spells, and he is definitely more of a power gamer, but he's also the guy that wants to go around opening up businesses and make dealings with people and like, oh yeah, no, I'll give you some help for 3% of your business and stuff like that. But there is I'm definitely going to have to nerf him because he has 2 times now killed boss encounters within 2 rounds.
Oh,
and it's I think I need to put concentration on a spell of his that allows him to make like an elemental cloak, basically.
Yeah.
And it's one of his class abilities.
Right.
But I feel
You're
have
too
to...
generous to let him have a homebrewed thing that's that powerful.
The effects themselves aren't that bad. He has only a few elements he can pick from, and he'll get more as he levels up. And the effects themselves aren't that bad. It's just I think the fact that it's not concentration allows him to stack it with haste.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And he last session did a very balanced 104 damage in a single round.
Yeah.
What level?
And like 6.
That is not balanced at all.
Yeah,
that's when you get Fireball, and Fireball's like 40 points of damage. Or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on, man.
It was.
And that's max damage.
It was 3 attacks. Well, Fireball's 8d6, so it'd be 48.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but it was 3 attacks, and he ended his lightning cloak ability is that he gets a bonus to move speed, and then he can end the effect early and cast lightning bolt, which is already a spell he has.
Oh jeez.
And I'm like, you know what, we're gonna make that spell or that ability of yours essentially take up concentration now, because I'm not having you move 270 feet a turn.
That's right, with the cannon.
The cannon. Yep. He charged 3 cannons, which I was using a homebrew way of calculating how the cannons hit to make them less good at firing at single targets and better at firing into crowds, which is how field artillery was used.
It does sound like a pretty epic story for him, though.
It was fantastic.
He probably had a blast.
He single-handedly ran up the hill and then got in line with the powder kegs, and he's like, I think I'm gonna run along and detonate the powder kegs. And I'm like, well, the explosions from the powder kegs gonna definitely go further than 15 feet, so you'll get damaged from each of those explosions. But like, you have enough movement. I'm like, you have enough movement though that if you were to like run up to the side and cast lightning bolt down the line, that you could hit all 3 cannons. So like, you can do that if you wish. And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. I'm like, hell yeah, you will.
Yeah, no, it's
the rest of the party's like,
I was gonna say, it sounds
800 feet away, and they see the top of the hill just detonate.
It sounds like you're actually a pretty awesome DM to let him do something like that.
Thank you.
With like the homebrew, and then like encouraging it and being supportive of it after the fact because of how badass it is. That's awesome. I played with a DM who was like, "What? This is broken. I'm never playing again." Like swore off of 5e. Like,
oh wow, no.
Oh, he booted. We had a DM that booted my wife and I out of a group because he thought we were too OP.
Woo! Oh my god!
I want to tell you what. I was playing a straight up point or stat array dwarf fighter of 4th level. There's no way it was.
Were you using UA?
No, I wasn't doing anything. It was just a dwarf fighter champion level 4.
Oh,
yeah. It was Tomb of Annihilation. Like
that.
Nothing.
He had problems with you being OP in Tomb of Annihilation.
That's what he said. Right. I'd be like, dude, no. Like
that's ridiculous.
With him.
Yeah, it was so ridiculous.
He killed my first character. He said, "Don't worry about making powerful characters. We're just gonna play for the role play." So I made a warlock dwarf. With strength as his highest stat. And I was, I was like, all right, we're just going to have some fun with this, see how it goes. I died like 2nd session, and it was like some cheese. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to make a champion fighter. I'm not going to get too invested. Just something quick. And then like he survived like up to level 5. And we did Firefinger. And then, my wife was playing a paladin that happened to be like great against undead. He kept throwing undead. He gave us homebrew magic items of like mauls that dealt like 3d10 magic damage.
But it's your fault.
Yeah, no, it's your fault.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I was like, even afterwards, I was like, what are you talking about? And then he was talking to a guy who had said on his YouTube channel that he does not like 5e because he can't make challenging encounters. I'm like, why are you talking to that guy about how to make balanced encounters? Talk to me. I'll help you.
In fairness, though, if a DM comes up to you and says, "Let's play Tomb of Annihilation," we'll do it with role play. That's a red flag.
Yeah, I was cool with it because, like, I played. He played in a game with us. Like, I've played other games with him. I've known him I had known him for years. We haven't since that moment. We haven't talked. But we used to. Well,
I can only imagine.
A week
I can only
before
imagine
that,
why.
we bought into D&D Beyond like as a group, like a Facebook group of like 20 people.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, well, you booted me out of the game, and then you booted me out of the group because I'm not in a game. I want my money back. Like,
yeah,
it's just the principle of it. Like,
absolutely,
and so that was it. But wow, we just went personal on that one.
Welcome to what we
Drop
do.
His name.
Yeah, no.
There's people out there who know. But like, I remember I was like, that's so stupid to me. Like, one, we could have resolved this with conversations. And I had no ill will towards him. I was kind of bummed that he quit talking to us. And I didn't even realize he unfriended me until my wife said something like weeks later, and I was like, oh, I should check that. I was like, oh yeah, he unfriended me too.
Yikes.
Yeah, and like, it really depends on how you deal with perceived power issues as a DM. Like, that night I made a homebrew scarecrow that was like CR 11 basically.
Yeah.
Which, granted, they defeated a Baylor Glabrizu hybrid at level 5.
Yep.
So I'm pretty comfortable with like throwing some hefty stuff at them, and they defeated that in like a couple rounds because it failed a saving throw and got restrained and prone. And then with it being prone, he just laid into it.
Yeah.
Got it near dead, and then the paladin finished it off as well as the spell sword.
Yeah.
Because it just used a scroll of lightning bolts and hit both the spell sword and it.
Like, as long as you can talk to your group about the stuff, like, I'm pretty comfortable giving players whatever they want. But like, oh, can I do this combo? I know there's like this rule, and I'm like, yeah, we'll do it that way. But if it becomes a problem, like, we're gonna talk about it, and take it back.
A thing that we say a lot is open and honest communication between your DM and your players. Like, it's something that solves a lot of issues.
That's why that night I went home and I couldn't get over how like his stacking of those spells was becoming an issue for game balance. So I drew up 3 different plans for, we can change how the haste spell works, we can change how your cloak works, or we can do like lift the definition of haste from 3.5 and do it that way. And when I see him next, I'm just going to be like, hey, I just got a couple issues with your player. We've homebrewed this out. So of course we're basically play testing it as the campaign goes on. And we have an issue with this. You're doing 104 and 121 damage casually. And that's like that's an issue, bud. So we're going to roll out some nerfs, pick which of these 3 you want, and from there that should hopefully work. And I don't like nerfing players like that. I prefer to keep them weak and then hand them a little something good every now and then.
Well, he also shouldn't be spamming it. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I don't mind someone having like basically a detonation, like a nuclear option, but like when you spam it and it ruins the fun for everybody, especially after you've done it like 3 sessions in a row.
Like,
that does it for me.
It does also depend table to table, I guess, because at the very least on my table, whenever he does that, everyone around the table's like, like,
does everyone else get a chance to shine though?
Oh yeah, no, everyone has their own cool stuff. The barbarian has a bow that can basically pin people to things because it fires arrows basically the size of spears. It's like the Dark Souls bow. It's called the Torque bow because his character's name is Torque, and they have to roll a strength saving throw and if they roll below 5, they're knocked back 5 feet. If they roll below 10, they're pinned.
Wow, that's actually really cool.
It's because he plays a strength-based character and wanted a chance to do cool things at range. So I'm like, I'll make a bow that scales off of strength for damage, but it's still dexterity to hit.
They used to have that. It was compound bows. Or
did they have it in 3.5? I know they had it in 2nd edition.
I
believe so.
I think so. It's been a while since I've looked at bows.
You used to have you had to have like a strength of 15 or something.
Something,
or
I don't remember if it was in like one of the core books, but I know that it was in at least one of the supplements.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's in Baldur's
so
Gate
many.
1 and part 1, the video game. Too.
That's true. Yeah. That is true.
It took me a long time. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't put it on all my characters. I was like, why can't this elven ranger use this composite bow? What's going on? I remember being so irritated.
It's been really weird for me going from 5e where daggers are finesse weapons to using a dagger in 3.5, and it scales off of strength no matter what for damage.
That's one change I like about 5e too.
Oh, absolutely.
You have that versatility, you know.
Oh yeah,
it definitely adds that option of everyone can play how they want to more, because like you don't have to specifically be strength based for any damage. Like, that's kind of ridiculous.
You can definitely be like a bard using a rapier and not be punished for it.
Exactly.
Right.
Although good luck playing a sweet tune with that rapier, though.
What do you mean air guitar, dude?
It is a very long guitar pick.
Hell yeah.
I just use the handle, dude. That's plucks the strings.
So
yeah, I put a bike bell on the basket belt.
Oh, that needs to be on a sword.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat said, "What do you guys think of the dark matter setting?" I don't know what he's talking about.
I have no idea what that is.
Dark matter
Dark matter setting.
I don't know, but I'll look it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That sounds cool.
Yeah,
It sounds like a space thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no idea what he's talking about. Dark matter setting. I don't know what triggered that.
Oh, it was published by WotC. It's a science fiction / conspiracy theory campaign setting.
Is it old?
Yeah.
1999.
Oh, okay.
Wow, he was going way back. I don't know what made him think of that.
That sounds super cool.
It's talking 3.5 maybe?
Yeah, probably something.
I don't know, but I'd be super down to play it.
Yeah,
right?
dude. Sounds neat. That's the thing. You hear
right,
about
I'll add it to the suggestions of things we should
really
play.
want a 5e inspired superhero game though.
A good that would be really cool.
I've seen
superheroes are so hard to do.
I've seen a few posts about some cool superhero campaign things.
Yeah. Like you can reskin a lot of stuff from just the 5e core book to work.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
Like Wolverine's healing powers is like the fighter's like second wind. You know, like you
yeah.
all sorts of stuff like that.
I know Z Bashu put out that Spider-Man video where he like recontextualized a bunch of spells to make it so that you could be Spider-Man basically.
Yeah.
I missed that video, but I'll check
it out. I think it was the tribute to Stan Lee back when he passed.
Nerdarchy used to do a bunch of videos about like making characters like different, you know, like some of those were better than others.
Yeah.
There's Tulok the Barbarian does a lot of stuff for like how to play Wolverine in 5e, how to play.
He does exclusively that kind of content.
Yes.
Which what's his name? I've never heard of this guy.
Tulok the Barbarian.
It's supposed to be barbarian, but it's spelled barbarian, and then
so he legit spelled it wrong, or
on his Twitter handle, I think it's also spelled right. So
no, it's spelled barbarian on
Is
Twitter.
it? I don't remember. Okay, well.
I think that's just kind of part of his branding.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's memorable because it's wrong.
And how do you spell Tulok?
Tulok.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not how I would have thought to spell that.
It's
almost like Turok.
Yeah,
almost. Yeah.
And so all of his content is basically how to play this character in D&D, and which we're not really a huge fan of, just because. By its very nature, D&D is nearly infinite in its possibilities, and it just seems creatively shallow to just, I want to play literally, not I don't want to play someone who has Goku's abilities, I want to play Goku
in Forgotten Realms.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've seen that a lot with like Katniss from Hunger Games. Like, I've had a lot of people that were new that wanted to play, and they were really big fans of that, and they're like, I'm gonna be Katniss. Or back in the day, it was like Legolas. Everyone wanted to be Legolas. Like those two are like the common ones. And
I would definitely recommend Fate to them then, because legitimately, we got a comment on our Fate video that we did. that had one of the questions in it was, what do you think of using Fate as a system for a Disney Renaissance RPG?
It's possible.
Oh, absolutely. And I was just like, I think it's very good for that because you can just put the aspects of those characters into the Fate character sheet and then just use them in whatever situation. It would work very well, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do understand it from the perspective of a brand new player. Like, this is my first time touching an RPG.
Sure.
And it can be a very good proxy, so to speak, of I will play Captain America. I'm familiar with Captain America. And it can help get them all. It's like training wheels, basically.
Yes. But then it's like, all right, so let's come up with a new name for him.
Yeah.
He can do some of the same stuff, but let's give him a little bit something else. Like, what would be a cool thing you could give to Captain America? You know?
Yeah, I would definitely be heavily like kind of going, okay, so you want this as your base, right? You want to be somewhat like Captain America. Let's start there and let's make it your own character. Let's not call him Captain America. Let's call him Shield Guy. And
America's Shield. America's ass. What?
There you go.
Yes.
And then then we go from there and we go, okay, so he's got like, he also uses swords, maybe, we do the thing. I don't know. And like,
it's one less orphaned rogue in the world.
Yeah,
agreed. And like,
there's go on.
I was gonna say we when we covered Tulak, he was talking about Geralt as one.
I ripped into him for his Geralt.
And now that I know Witcher a little more, like having played Witcher 3, I was like, I'm looking back at it and I'm like, but it's definitely one of those things where he will attempt to make it fit in his lens, right? Like it's definitely, I would say there's some things that are better to use, and in fact we discussed that for the Geralt one specifically, because I know the other one that he did was the Pokemon Blaze Cat, whatever,
Mewtwo.
Mew.
Incineroar. Thank you. Yep. Yes, brain could not remember. And so that one we were just like, yeah, okay, sure. I mean, it's not going to be 1-to-1 because it's a Pokemon and you can't really. And we were even like, it could be a monk with wave elements and stuff.
It's a cool thought experiment at the very least.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Obviously has fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say he's a little upsetting in the comments of his videos sometimes. And some of the stuff that I see.
Now, in fairness, he does get a lot of people who criticize his builds.
Oh, absolutely.
So it does,
but he's opening himself up to that.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
It does lead to him being defensive.
But at this point, he's been doing it so long, I would think the defensiveness would stop.
People are funny, man. Like, if you don't do YouTube if you can't handle some criticism.
Yeah, it exactly. Is. I would describe it best as defensive. Like, the inflection is
question
necessary.
mark, yeah.
So I had a guy just the other. So I finally did my Pathfinder 2nd Edition review last weekend, and it was funny. Obviously, the game's been out for a while, so somebody commented and was like, you suck. Like, you should have done this.
Oh yeah, sure.
Or something like that. This is like going back and reviewing Iron Man 1. And I was like, I said, that's a great idea. I should go back and do some retro movie reviews.
Right?
Dude.
Like,
that'd be so fun.
People do that on podcasts, though.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's a content creator I follow. He does Let's Plays of video games. Yeah. And I just saw his video of finishing Halo 1 today. And
nice.
He's currently working his way through Halo 3.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, we haven't gotten the "you suck" comments yet.
Oh, that's great.
Because
that's not even the best. Like, that's just the most recent one.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying, like, we don't get those comments because people don't watch that far in, like, to get that much of an opinion. Like,
we weed out those people with the first hour.
Whatever you guys do, you want a word of advice? Don't ever do a video about Christianity.
Nope.
And RPGs.
Nope.
I've already done it a couple times.
Sure.
Now,
I can imagine.
Like the satanic panic.
I would love to talk about the satanic panic.
Honestly,
so my friend Nate from WASD20, he teaches at a Christian school.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
So he lives near me.
Good stuff.
So I was like his very first D&D campaign. So I was his DM.
That's awesome.
He had only played like a couple RPGs before then, and just like one shots. Like, I think he played 13th Age and Pathfinder Society like a couple times.
Oh, okay.
But he came over to my house once. This is back in like mid 2014 or something, and we did a thing where we were talking about that because we're in a conservative side of the state, and it's called the Bible Belt of Michigan. It's near Grand Rapids, and we were talking about how we were both kind of in the closet when it came to our jobs. At the time, he wasn't talking about it at school, and I wasn't talking. I was a realtor, and so I had met a lot of people who were like, no, this is evil and that's evil.
Sure,
so anyways, in that video, I think it was that one, maybe it was another one I did, some lady was like, you guys are opening your minds to the devil. And like,
I welcome it.
Yeah, just by like pretending to be these things, you're allowing this to happen, and you're acknowledging magic in the world. It's like, oh my gosh.
It's that funny, humble sensibilities.
The hilarious thing to me though is the fact that even in the Old Testament in the Bible there is literal necromancy that happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Wherein they summon the spirit of like a dead king and talk to him, and it's like, well, by your own faith it clearly is.
Yeah. Like, there's so many things that you could say to counter a lot of those kinds of things, because people just don't pay attention. They don't read their player's handbook, dude.
Jesus was a 12th level cleric. Prove me wrong.
Mazes and Monsters is a far out game.
It's a far out game, dude.
And then don't even get me started on how we're playing a campaign where we are devils.
We are literal devils.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There
are some people I know that I definitely do not mention that campain around.
Yeah, I get that.
The funny thing is,
my mom threw out Hero Quest twice on me, man, when I was a kid. Twice. My aunt bought it for me with the babysitting money that she was getting from my mom. Bought it once. It was $20 at Toys R Us. Got it home, was playing with it, loved it. Like, and I had heard of it. Like, I went to a friend's house and played it first. So I'm playing it and loving it. My mom saw it and didn't say anything to me. I went to bed. A couple days later, I'm like, where is that game? She didn't say anything.
That sucks.
Next time I'm at my aunt, she buys it for me again. We're playing it. And then my mom told me she threw it out the second time. So,
So in actual IRL, like on my Wednesday campaigns, we used to meet up in the local library, and and one of the times we were just playing and like talking about stuff, and then just some old lady comes up, and she just says nothing except for I think you could use this to our DM, and gives her a Jesus book. We keep it.
That's something my grandmother would have done.
We keep it for we kept it for every session that we did together. Like, it's still gonna, when we go back and do it again in real life, like, we're going to keep having it on the table just as a reminder.
Absolutely.
And then if somebody else comes and tries to do it, we'll just be like, oh no, we have one. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a copy. Thanks.
every time that happens to me, like when someone's like, oh hey, do you want to, you want one of these little pamphlets, I always, seriously, I've never done it, I don't intend to, I just want to say, oh no thanks, I'm a Satanist.
Yeah.
just deadpan.
I mean, if you're a Satanist, you basically believe the same thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. So
no,
this took a turn.
I remember actually a conversation I had with my mother a long while back. Like back when I think this was a year ago.
Recent.
And and she's like, so do you know what necromancy is? And I'm like, yeah, I do. It's like a really cool school of magic. It's like, well, they're telling the future using dead people, and I'm like, that's not what necromancy in D&D is. And like, I literally grabbed the spell description of chill touch and read it out, and I'm like, that's necromancy.
Should have read healing, cure wounds.
Yeah, those
this
are
is
technically
necromancy. With all your wounds.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, so long as you're not doing that. And I'm like, if you ever see me like, just you happen
Here, give me this
to be
D20.
strolling,
Let's see if it works.
I'm like, if you ever see me leaving the guy whose house we play at, I'm like, if you are ever like driving by or walking by and you see me leaving his house with a goat head and blood on my shirt, then you can be concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
But only one goat? I thought you had to sacrifice more than that.
Oh, well, I mean, that one's my goat.
Oh.
Everyone else gets a goat.
Yeah, everybody else gets their own, you know? Right? Yeah.
All right, so let's end on that. That's a great note.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Undead goats is always classic.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Table Talk discussion and discourse is all about being Satanists.
Yep. It's our number one brand.
We have a reputation for getting your goat.
I hate it.
I love it.
As you should.
I love dad jokes. So where can everybody find you guys?
Oh, well, we have several things.
We have a new thing that you just announced.
Yeah, we're
so
starting
many
season
things.
2.
Yeah, we're in season 2 currently, and so with that comes a lot of changes. First off, we have a website that you can go to find everything that I'm going to mention after this, basically. So actually, no, I still need to put the Twitter on there too. Anyway, we have a website that is tabletalkd&d.us. And that'll have a bunch of information on it. It'll have guest links and stuff for when we have guests on and their stuff. We have our YouTube channel that you can find youtube.com/channel or C or whatever /Tabletalk DND, or no, Tabletop Discussion and Discourse, I believe, is actually the full thing for that. And then we have our Twitter and our Instagram at Tabletalk D&D. We have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/Tabletalk DND. No, DND. Sorry.
Yes.
You guys, I can see the problem here.
Yeah.
I mentioned it too. We need to be consistent in our branding. We are danded.
The problem becomes when you get one thing but you can't get the other, and it's just like, what am I supposed to do, right? I can try.
And then character limits. You don't even take that into account sometimes.
Oh, believe me, titles of videos. That 100 character limit makes me want to die. It's great.
Yeah. There is a profile on Twitter that has the handle that we wanted of DND.
It hasn't been active in years. It's never
Don't
posted.
You hate that?
Yeah, I messaged it frequently. I was like, could I have it?
It was awkwardly nerdy. We had to add a 1 at the end, and now she doesn't even use Twitter anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
the other person doesn't either. It's like, geez.
So now when someone comes along in 3 years and wants awkward
letters and numbers, and you can find it through our website and on our channel and everywhere you can find it. So I think we also allow emails. Emails, people can email us tabletalkdnd@gmail.com.
Like, hey, have you guys watched this video yet?
Nobody sent us that yet. I wish. I hope so at some point.
What do they send you?
We have gotten one email.
One? That sounds like me. I used to give my email out in videos. I'm like, give me your questions and I'll answer them on stream. And then they're like, people in the comments are like, I'll send my stuff. I never got an email. Not one.
Yeah, that's the case. And then we'll just respond to the comments that are on videos on the next stream, basically. So I don't know about you guys, but I do sometimes get an email that's like, hey, will you review my game if I send you a free PDF? I'm like, I don't have time to read 140 page PDF. For a game. You'd also want to play it just to know, right? Like it's and
that's such a time commitment. It's like you're not telling me anything interesting about it. You're just saying, please review my game. Thanks. I don't know. You send me a free physical product so I can at least look at it before I say yes or no, and we're a little bit better. But
that should be all of our links. Am I missing anything?
Discord, Twitter, Instagram, which we've not done much with.
I post like just thumbnails that I've made on there, basically.
Of course, the YouTube channel, Patreon, but like that's neither here nor there.
Go to my Patreon to support these guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Patreon link is in the description.
Button.
There you go.
No, I did. I do have a link to their YouTube channel in the description, and then I hope it works. A link to their website in the comments. So,
cool.
If that doesn't work, I will fix that.
Sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hilarious. You guys got me
very
open
nice
up a
talking
little
to you.
more.
Yeah. I can't wait to have you on. That'll be
when
too.
when is that? I don't
The 11th.
remember.
The 11th.
Let me double check.
Yep.
Yes, I got it. Guest
Sick.
on TableTalk D&D next Tuesday.
Fantastic.
See, I knew that because tomorrow's my patrons chat because you asked me for tomorrow originally.
Right. Yeah. Originally. Yep.
Cool. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe I'll stay for the full time. I don't know. I think I said
Hey,
I could
man,
commit
yeah.
to an hour, but we'll see.
Absolutely. You are more than welcome to stay for however long you want.
Do you guys have a topic already?
Not yet.
Yeah,
but
It's gonna be juicy, right?
Oh, probably. Oh,
yeah. Typically, that is guest choice or related to the content that the guest puts out.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll talk more about that when it gets closer.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
We can nail that down.
I talk about everything.
Good. Hey,
so do we.
We're
I know
trying
nothing,
to,
but I have an opinion on everything.
Hey.
Yeah. Trust me, I know the
Perfect fit. Yeah. Perfect fit.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, this was Master of the Game. I am Juice. We were talking with Table Talk, Discussion, and Discourse. Game on.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.